Joining me right now is California Congressman Dana Rohrabacher. And Congressman, I know you like free trade, but free trade also needs to be fair trade. And I think we are certainly in the driver's seat when it comes to negotiating this. Just for some reason, no president has ever really taken it on in the same way. What is possible to change now, in the here and now?
Well, the most important thing that's changed from the way we used to handle it, that resulted in this unfair trade relationship with China, where they're sucking wealth out of our country. The only difference now is we have a president who's actually standing up for what's right for our people, rather than some global vision of harmony that we've had with Obama and actually some of the Republicans before that. So with Larry Kudlow and President Trump doing our bidding, yeah, I don't think we have anything to be afraid of, and we need to make sure that there's changes for the positive in our economic relationship with China for the sake of the American people.
But, you know, the difference, and I'll play devil's advocate here, the difference is China is looking at the next 10, 20, 100 years. We, on the other hand, are much more in the present. And, you know, our lawmakers, yourself included, you get a lifeline there of 2 years, and you got to go back and get elected and elected. And that's part of our process, and it's all fine and good. However, when you're up against the likes of China, that also maybe a country it's a country that doesn't care as much, right? If its people feel the pain. Whereas...
But it's not the country. That's the whole point. In China, what you have is a vicious dictatorship. There has been no political reform whatsoever. Yeah. I remember when Chris Cox and myself, right after we left the Reagan White House, we led the fight against including China in the WTO, the World Trade Organization. And we said, we're going to wait until they have some political reform. Well, they've had none. And when you say they can make these long-term plans, that's because they don't have any democratic institutions. We should make that part of the discussion. Either, you know, we're not going to give you the same trade benefits with the United States that we give with regular democratic countries. And it's working against us to permit that.
Well, that's an interesting point, Congressman, but then we may really never get a deal, right? I mean, I hear you. I hear you.
The people of China want freedom. There's a Christian movement going on in China that's undermining the communists that still control that country with an iron fist. We got the Falun Gong who are being oppressed there, but they're standing up against this horrible dictatorship. Now, we've had in the past American leaders who are not tough and not strong. Now we got Don Trump, and he's going to do what's right for us. And you know what? In the end, it will be what's right for the people of China as well.
So in the here and now, do we, in your view, look at an entirely different kind of system with China, an entirely different kind of agreement? In other words, if we're going to send cars to them and they're going to charge 25%, well, then we're just going to say enough. We're not going to buy any of the stuff that you're sending our way.
Well, we've been putting up with this because you have certain American industrial interests that have been making a profit from dealing with this dictatorship. And the bottom line is we have to watch out for the American workers as well as American industrialists. And look, this is the first president we've had who's actually stepped up. And Larry Kudlow is a guy, as you know, who's got guts as well.
I know Larry very well, and I like him very much. But I will tell you, this wasn't really his wheelhouse. Larry, I don't think if you asked him, in fact, he was out with a column along with Art Laffer and Steve Moore just weeks before he took the position, where he was arguing against doing any of this. So this is a little bit of Larry outside his normal sphere, to be clear,
Congressman. When you go to work for a president, and I worked for President Reagan, as you know, for 7.5 years. I was a senior speechwriter and then a special assistant to the president. When you go to work for somebody like that, it is your obligation to go by what that leader was elected to do. And Trump was very clear that he promised the American people we weren't going to put up with these one-way free trade deals anymore, even though there might be a couple of industries in the United States that has helped, and industrialists, I should say, rather than industries. No, we're going to make sure the American worker is dealt with fairly in this world. And that's why it's worked. Trump is actually making it work in various places. He took in Saudi Arabia. He's actually got them weaning themselves away and stepping away from radical Islamic terrorism. The new leader of Saudi Arabia actually went and visited with Christian Coptics in Egypt. That was because Trump was strong and tough with them, saying, drive those terrorists out of your mosque if you want to deal with us. That's the kind of guy, and then he offers a deal.
We got a ton of power. Now we're using it.
Okay, that's right. And I think he's going to be successful. He knows how to make a deal that moves things forward. He doesn't want to disrupt everything, but if you aren't tough, you're never going to move forward.
Congressman, it is good to see you. Thank you very much.